Alrighty. So this event will be recorded. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Alrighty, well, good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes. My name is Cynthia Tejeda. I'm the president of the Latino Professional Alumni Chapter. And on behalf of our board members, I would like to welcome you all to our Taco Tuesday event celebrating Latinx achievements. I'm so happy to see so many of you joining us today for this special event, not only celebrating Latino Hispanic Heritage Month, but also showing support virtually celebrating during these difficult times. So we're gonna go ahead and begin with the celebration, and I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to my colleague, Ruby Rose Yepes.
Hi, hello everyone. Good afternoon. I apologize. Give me one quick second. I needed to just fix something on my computer. Buenas tardes. Thank you all for joining us. We are really excited to be here. We have a really exciting and action-packed agenda today. And with that said, you know, this being a month of celebration of our cultures and achievements, one of the things that we have been annually doing and have not been able to do in person this year is honoring and recognizing our scholarship recipients. And so not only just our scholarship recipients, but, you know, being Latino Heritage Month, it is so important that we recognize and highlight the achievements of our fellow Bronco community in general, from being selected to receive a scholarship, to completing degrees, to new jobs or promotions, and to professional and personal goals we have attained. We are excited to celebrate all of that with you today. To begin our event, I would like to applaud the recipients of the Hilda Solis Scholarship. And we are sad that we cannot celebrate with you in person, but we want you to know that we are proud of you. The 4 recipients that we have this year are Jenny Hernandez, who's a junior pursuing a degree in sociology, Cesar Valvinos, who's a junior pursuing a degree in biology, Doña Garza, who is a senior studying management and leadership, and Garza, who is also a senior and studying food science and technology. Our board knows from personal experiences the stress that financial burdens impose on students, sometimes causing them to unfortunately have to withdraw from their studies. We are happy to be able to support these students with these scholarships in a way that allows them to focus on their academics and make themselves and their family proud. To highlight our students, we have a short video we would like to share with you all on how they will benefit from the scholarships.
Hola, fellow Broncos. My name is Ruby Rose Yepes, the past president for the Latino Professional Alumni Chapter. I'm excited to share with you the recipients of our annual Hilda Solis Scholarship. These students are committed to their education and motivated to completing their degrees. We are proud to provide financial assistance to allow them to focus on school and achieving their goals. Please join me in congratulating our 4 recipients and hear from them on how the scholarship will be helping them.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny Hernandez. First, I'd like to say thank you for choosing me as one of the scholarship recipients. A little more about me. I am a 4th-year sociology social work option student, and I plan on graduating next spring, and this scholarship will greatly help me in my academic success of paying off my student loans, and this would reduce my financial concerns. This will greatly help me focus more on my studies and preparations for grad school applications coming up, and in the future, I hope to pursue a master's of social work. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cesar Valvinos. I am a winner of the Hilda Solis Scholarship Award, something that I'm very proud of, considering that it is something that is very prestigious and means a lot to me as a person. I think this is definitely something that will help me out with my academic success because number one, we've all got to pay for college, and number two, especially now during this rather tough time of COVID and online learning, having something to help pay the tuition is something that I think is indispensable in this time. I think it's something that will lighten the load of paying for tuition off of my plate, and it'll definitely help me truly appreciate college a lot more.
Hey everyone, I'm Dominguez. I was one of the recipients of the Alumni Scholarship this year, and I just wanted to say thank you very much for considering me for this scholarship. It's my senior year, and I'm definitely applying to become a master's student, so I'm going to my graduate degree, and the scholarship have definitely helped me out put money aside. Instead of going into tuition, my money is going into the application process, application fees, and sitting for the GMAT. So I just want to say thank you so much again, and I really appreciate it.
Hello, everybody. My name is Elvis Garcia Jr., and I'm Salvadorian American. And I would like to thank the Latino Professional Alumni Chapter and also say Happy Latino Heritage Month. This scholarship will help me be financially stable and be able to allow me to buy all the tools and materials I need to be successful. I am so grateful, and thank you so much.
Hola, mi gente. I am Cynthia Tejeda, President of the Latino Professional Alumni Chapter. On behalf of the Scholarship Committee, felicidades. We are truly proud of your commitment to your education despite your adversities. We thank you for your continuous support to the community and willingness to give back. You are the epitome of resilience. We wish you nothing but success as you continue your journey here at Cal Poly Pomona. Y siempre recuerda, si se pudo, sí se puede y sí se va a poder. Gracias.
Congratulations again to our recipients. If we could give them a virtual applause for all of their hard work and just actually submitting an application. We definitely would like to get the word out there more about this scholarship. So if you have any connection to any students that are on campus, please let them know that this scholarship exists. We would like to see a lot more students submitting applications. So again, congratulations to our recipients and best of luck in your upcoming year. You are strong and resilient, so keep pushing forward with your studies. I am now honored to introduce one of my amigos who is dedicated to his comunidad and career, Dr. Carlos Garcia Saldaña, who is a proud child of Mexican immigrants who left their native land over 40 years ago and raised a family in the Lincoln Heights area of Los Angeles. Carlos is an advocate, ally, activist, and lifelong educator with very strong roots at Cal Poly Pomona. He is a proud alumnus, former staff member, and just last year returned as a lecturer in the Management and Human Resources Department, where he hopes to shift the historical narrative of leadership by bringing to light his passion for social justice, identified development, and the understanding of the broad implications of who and how we lead. For his day job, he is the founding principal at Odyssey Charter School South, an independent charter school in Pasadena, and has formerly been a college advisor and academic counselor both in California and at his alma mater, the University of Maryland. Carlos creates balance from his professional responsibilities by reading, traveling, cooking, and baking, as well as spending time with his friends and family in the current pandemic via Zoom and FaceTime. So thank you again, Carlos, for joining us. The floor is yours.
Gracias, Ruby, for the lovely introduction. Good evening, everyone, colleagues, friends, and guests. I'm excited to join this evening for a momentous and timely occasion and the conversation tonight. I'd like to start by welcoming and introducing our panelists this evening. First, Berta Irene Benavides Lopez, a very dear friend of mine, and Luis Dominguez. Berta was born in Tijuana and immigrated to the US at the age of 3 and currently serves as a principal of Willard Intermediate School in Santana Unified and has been affiliated with the Santana Unified School District for over 20 years. Additionally, she has been a professor at both Pepperdine University and Santiago Canyon College in Orange County. Berta earned a bachelor's degree from UCLA, a master's degree and teaching credential from Pepperdine, and an administrator credential from Cal Poly Pomona. Luis Dominguez was born and raised in South Central Los Angeles and is a proud son of a Mexican mother and Honduran father. He currently serves as Deputy Electrical Integration and Test Lead for the Psych Assembly, Test, and Launch Operations Team at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Although Luis loves technical engineering analysis and programming, his primary drive is helping others. Since starting working at NASA in 2007, Luis has used this as a bully pulpit afforded to him to talk, inspire, and mentor youth all around Los Angeles through presentations and programming. Luis earned his undergraduate degree from Cal Poly Pomona in mechanical engineering. Thank you both Luis and Berta for joining us in this plática. So, as I was thinking about the theme of this evening, celebrating Latinx achievements, I want to invite you both to think a bit about the many achievements that you've experienced in both your personal and your professional careers. Within each of your fields, you've achieved significant milestones, some of which are noted in extended bios. And I'd like to dive a bit deeper and spend some time describing these in a bit more details. And to do that, I want to start with this first question. What has been the most significant milestone in both your personal life, and then you can tack on there in your professional career? Luis, go ahead and get us started, please.
Well, I think for that question, it would be the largest milestone would be just graduating college. It was with just a bachelor's, it was a big deal for my family that I was able to graduate and study engineering. My dad actually studied civil engineering when he was in Honduras, but unfortunately he was unable to complete his degree because they were starting due to civil war and strife in the country. He had to leave the country because he got pulled into the military, and he just didn't want to take part in the military. So he decided to leave and come to America. And it was an incredible opportunity, and it's been wonderful being able to come and work at JPL and just but that all started from getting that college degree, and that opened all these doors. So that would be both personal and professional.
Gracias, Luis. Berta, chime in for us. What has been your greatest achievement in both the personal and then your professional roles?
Well, let me see. Can you hear me? Yes, right? Yes, most. Okay, so for me, it's definitely graduating from UCLA. I have never even thought that I was going to even go to a four-year college. I remember literally in high school telling my mother and my father, I do not want to go to school. I want to quit, have 8 kids, buy a van, and to take them all to Disneyland and Magic Mountain and Knott's Berry Farm. Forget schooling. And so it's the milestone of me being able to say I'm a UCLA graduate. Insane. It's still, I sometimes still look at my degree and say, like, I can't believe I actually did that. People believed in me, and most importantly, I believed in myself. So I feel that professionally, it has taken me it gave me the opportunity to believe in myself so I can continue my education and my master's degree and my administrative credential and teaching at Pepperdine University as a professor. So it was a lot of the process of my identity of believing who I was. And so that milestone itself, reaching it was like, I think it was like that climax in my life that I can keep going and going and going. And just even for myself, you said personally, it's just the fact that that I didn't believe in myself when I was in high school. And all of a sudden I'm here, I'm a UCLA graduate, I'm a Pepperdine graduate. I went to UNAM as a undergraduate, studied abroad. And then now an administrator. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I always told my mom that I wanted to be a principal and a superintendent one day. I didn't know what that meant until like right now that I am a, a principal, and I'm like, well, what was I thinking? But I love it. I get a high of going to work every day. So it's really, really cool.
Thank you, Berta. That's a really interesting one for you to share. You know, myself as a school principal, I have these moments where I run into childhood friends and, you know, they ask, so what are you up to nowadays? I was like, oh, I'm a school principal. And we share a laugh, right? A very boisterous, joyful laugh, to think back of like, in my wildest dreams, would I have ever imagined becoming a principal, right? And so as you two think about reflecting back from that experience of even graduating college and seeing yourself at the precipice of what is my career going to look like, right? What was the motivation to jump into your career? Kind of, how did that pathway open itself and present itself to you? Let me have you start with that one, Berta.
Well, for me, it's very interesting you said that, because like I said, when I was a kid, I've always wanted to be an educator without knowing that I could do it, right? And so more so when I went into high school, when I was told by a counselor that I was gonna just work at McDonald's and flip burgers all my life, it made me, I think that oppression and that racism that I had to live, it gave me that anger and that ganas, like, you know what, I'm gonna show you off. I'm gonna tell you that I can make it. Like, this brown immigrant mujer is gonna make it. I don't know how I'm gonna make it, because I don't want to go to school, but I gotta make it, right? So it was that push to believe that somebody didn't believe in me, but I had to believe in myself. And the fact that my parents and my family immigrated to this country, I immigrated to this country, and I knew that I needed to pay back to my parents, that I was gonna be somebody. That sacrifice they took, I think it was like that racism and that oppression that I felt in high school is what pushed me to get the degrees that I have, to be where I'm at, and go back and say, now look, just like I didn't have role models in my undergraduate as well as my K-8 education, now I'm gonna go back and be role models to those kids that I didn't have. So I think that's what keeps me going every single day, that I want my little kids to see this mujer that looks like their mom, their tia, the abuelita, the neighbor, like la vecina, la comadre. And they said, oh my God, you know, when I first became an assistant principal, the first thing when I walked into the campus, the first thing the kids thought that I was the activity monitors, the one that was taking care of the kids during lunchtime, that I was like the babysitter. They had no clue that I, a Latina Chicana Inmigrante, would be in a position of power that like I was. And I never flaunt my degree and I never flaunt my title, but at times I have to make sure that I do it, because that respect needs to be earned.
Yeah. Luis, tack on a little bit for us of what has been your driver for continuing and pursuing and achieving, you know, in your respective field as an engineer.
Yeah, well, I guess my motivation has kind of been there since the start. I was always very gifted with mathematics and kind of science, and kind of tended to diverge towards those things. And I actually fell in love with airplanes when I was in 7th grade. I used to just spend time in the library reading books on Greek mythology and things like that, and just random stuff. I just spent time in the library. And one day I opened a book on airplanes, and I saw the images of all these amazing aircraft, and I was like, what does it take for me to work on those things? what do I have to study to be able to build these things and design them? And so at that time, I think I had Net Zero, right? So you had to pop in the CD-ROM to get that free internet, and you just get blasted with all this advertisement. But I looked up what it took to build an airplane, and I found out that engineers do it, and more specifically, aerospace engineers do it. And so from there on, I was pretty much set that I was going to be an aerospace engineer, and I was going to build airplanes. And that drove me all the way to college. I ended up choosing mechanical engineering as opposed to aerospace engineering because I was able to talk with a professor at my high school, and he recommended that I do mechanical engineering because when you do aerospace engineering, you can pigeonhole yourself into just that industry. Whereas if I had studied mechanical engineering, I could move to different industries. If I got tired of aerospace, I could move to something else. I could go design, hardware that builds shoes or something like that. It's just, whatever you're really interested in. And so I went with mechanical. And after I started working at JPL, and when I got the opportunity to start working there, now my motivation has been primarily to see what I can do to help the Hispanic community in any way that I can. I'm part of the SHIP Los Angeles board, so I'm the VP of Innovation and Technology. And I try and do as much outreach as possible, go out there and talk to as many kids as possible, because I find it really abhorrent that I was born in Los Angeles and here in South LA, raised my whole life, and I never even knew JPL existed in Pasadena. I never had any knowledge that something this amazing and something like this was so close to home. And that if I really wanted to, I could have caught a bus ride and gone over to seen it. I just didn't have that knowledge, and so I want to make sure that I, try and pass along as much of that knowledge as possible, and make sure that kids are completely aware of what is possible, and that they don't limit themselves to the ideas that they develop in a very secluded environment, which is kind of the issue in South LA, I think, where and a lot of socioeconomically impoverished communities, right, where they don't have access to this knowledge. They don't have access to what's a possibility, and so it just leads them down bad paths, right? Idle hands are the devil's plaything.
Yeah, that's really that's a really fascinating connection, Luis. My campus is about 3 blocks from JPL. And I actually have a lot of parents who work at JPL. And so I think a lot about the resources and the access, right? Who's available, who has access to that. And those models, and even just obtaining the information and the resources, right? Knowledge is power, as we all know, right? And one of the things that connects to our topic of celebrating Latinx achievements of who were your support networks and your models and your champions, right? ¿Quién te empujó? ¿Quién te dijo, síguele dando, right? Because that's a big piece. And how do you honor and celebrate your achievements and potentially the achievements of those individuals as well? Luis, let me have you pick it up, and Berta, I'll jump onto you in a second.
Yeah, no, in terms of a support group, I mean, it's definitely evolved. I mean, always family. I think that's pretty much a constant in any Latino household. It's just a strong family structure, and just my parents always being there to help me out. I mean, my mom was actually my first teacher. She was a teacher in Mexico. So before I even started kindergarten, I was already doing tablas and doing tarea that she had imported from Mexico. And so it's definitely, my parents have definitely been a motivation, definitely had an effect on my work ethic, right? I definitely feel like I have a much better work ethic than most people, just coming from an immigrant household, where it's just, I used to see my parents working, every day, sometimes, with a fever and the flu, and, they're still taking us to school. They're still doing all these things. And so whenever I get a cold, I get sick days at work, and I feel bad taking a sick day, because I'm like, oh, my dad never took a sick day. My mom never took a sick day. Why do, why do I need to take a sick day? So yeah, definitely my parents. And then once I got to college, the Chavez Center helped out tremendously, just as being a resource away from home, somewhere where I could just hang out. And since I was a commuter, I didn't really live on campus, so it was an excellent place to kind of just relax, meet up with people, and then just go about and just get involved in school, wherever there was an opportunity.
Yeah, awesome. Berta, talk to us a little bit about your champions and your supports.
Well, for me, definitely, I piggyback on what Luis is saying. Definitely my family, major champions, major supporters. My mom is like, my mom cleaned houses growing up, and my mom would always tell me, tú no le vas a estar limpiando la casa a esas personas como yo, so like I needed to listen to that. I didn't know what she meant with that, because it was a very honorable job, but I think that them pushing me and believing that I was going to be able to make it. And yeah, I was fighting it and wanting to, have 8 kids. And now I have 0 kids, but 1,800 kids, right? And so, but, it's that family unity. Then I saw my sister going to college, and I felt kind of obligated that I had to go to college, but she was indirectly pushing me. So that's like the group that really got me started. But I'm thinking back, it's really interesting you said that, because just like literally 3 weeks ago, I saw a post from my counselor at the community college back in, I don't even know what year it was, 90 what, 98 or something like that.
A couple of days ago,
it's been a long time. and I remember he actually was friends with my kindergarten teacher when I was 5 years old, and that's when we came to live in San Juan Capistrano, and Mrs. Morales was my kindergarten teacher, and I still remember her because she honored me for my looks. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, because I was a trenzuda back in the days when my mom used to have those I used to have big fat like trenzas, I was a cute little Mexican. I don't know about now, but like when I was a kindergartner, right? And so I asked him, do you still keep in touch with Miss Morales? And he's like, yes. And like, oh my God, my wife talks to her every day. So he like gave me her number, and I was able to talk to my kindergarten teacher. It was amazing. And then I shared with her that my nominee of Distinct Women of the Year under Tom Umberg, and she sent me beautiful flowers to my office. And it was like, it got back like that whole energy of like, where did my education really start? Like me believing, because I remember that I used to get bullied a lot when I was in 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, and I just didn't want to deal with it. So Miss Morales would allow me to go during lunchtime to her classroom, kindergarten classroom, to help. So I was like her little aide during lunchtime, and I still like remember and honor her for allowing me to be me in her presence, right? And then I went into high school, and then I didn't have any shame. I loved, and I was very proud of my mother. And my mother was, like I said, a house cleaner. And I remember telling my ceramics teacher that my mom cleaned houses. So guess what? Mrs. Dersponigal needed a house cleaner. So my mom ends up being my ceramics teacher's house cleaner for like 19 years. And during that time, they saw me, my growth going into like the university, and Miss Sponigal, his wife, was a principal. And I remember that she actually, when I first started at UCLA, she invited me to go to her school and just be a shadowed assistant principal with her. And it was just the most amazing thing for me to have somebody believe in me. And now just like a week ago, I'm on a roll. I got in touch with them after like 12 years, and I went to visit her this weekend, and it was like, wow, it's like this whole like energy of movement, of making me that where did my education start with? It's like these important people in my life that continue believing in me. Then I can go into the National Conference of Community Justice, where I felt I knew Carlos, and I met a group of women for the past 20 years. We've been connected, and everybody's from different professions, and we've always been so connected to this day. And those are the people that I hold really dearly. Those are like my extended families that have always believed in what I do and what I believe and continue doing. But talking about kindergarten to university, it's just insane. And you're making me reflect on a lot of these people that have really touched my life, and I continue holding the love they have toward me and believing in me to continue making a difference. And I think that's what it makes me I feel like so obligated to do my job correctly, because I feel like I no puedo defraudar, not only my mom, my dad, my family, but all the people, the village that's right next to me to get me where I'm at. Definitely.
Yeah. Awesome, Berta. And that takes me, that's a perfect segue, because one of the pieces that I wanted to highlight was, it's a twofold. One is, how do you celebrate your achievements in partnership or in comunidad with these champions and supporters, right? Like, it becomes imperative to do that. I can think back, right? I've had the fortune of knowing you, Berta, and your sister Corina for more years than I care to say out loud. But Corina has been an amazing champion, mentor, supporter, hermana, compañera, colega. I can go on and on and on. And I can probably say the same for both Ruby and Cynthia, who are with us tonight, right? And I think a lot about that. And I tell her, I was like, this is your fault, Corina. I have gone through, because I won't forget, Corina hired me to be a student assistant office manager at the Chavez Center in, I believe it was 2000 or 2001. And there was a day where I was working her office, and I told her, I was like, what do I have to do to get your job? I want your job. And she's like, okay, well, go get a college degree, then get a master's, and then you can apply for the job. And so I'm very aware of that day. I remember it vividly. And I did pursue that. I didn't go into and fall into the Chavez Center as a coordinator, but I did earn a master's degree in higher ed and student affairs. And when I see Corina, which I haven't seen, I've seen on Zoom via happy hours, as we all get to do now. But how do you both celebrate in comunidad those moments, right, where you can think back of those pivotal moments that have now you can look back and reflect upon, say like, oh, I remember the day when X, Y, or Z that launched me forward. Luis?
It really varies. It depends on on the milestone being celebrated. At work, it's I work a lot with my colleagues, and we typically have just a party usually at the end once we're done with large missions, and we're always having happy hours, keeping it lively, making bets on whether something will work or not, right? And so it's just it really varies. I mean, visiting my parents and kind of just being with family, that's again a constant, kind of always just uh, meeting up with them and talking with them and letting them know what I'm up to, and they're always calling me. If I don't ping them, they'll ping me. And I'll get a little tongue lashing for not having talked in a while. um, but yeah, that's primarily my modes of celebration, and just acknowledging and letting people know how important they are is always extremely good. Making sure that you're honest and forthright with them, and let them know how important they are. Make sure they understand that.
Thank you, Luis. Berta.
Well, for me, obviously, I told you a little bit already on that topic. It's like when I went to visit Mrs. Bonigal, the lady that believed in me, she said, now that you're a principal, I want to turn it around. I want to go and celebrate with you and see you and shadow you. And that, when she told me that, it's like, whoa, it's like, you're gonna shadow me? I thought, like, you were everything for me. Like, oh my God, I wanted to like be in your zapatos, literally I was, because she would give my mom big plastic bags full of like professional clothes, and I was wearing all those clothes for the first 3 years that I started being a teacher. So she literally like dressed me. It was like, and now it's like she's gonna come see me and shadow me. So I think I'm a little nervous about that. And then another celebration is when like I said, the Chicanas from the Latino Leadership Conference, we started this sleepover, and it's like 12 women that once a year we used to get together, and then we stopped getting together like for a good 8-9 years. And approximately 5 years ago, we all decided, let's do a sleepover again. But now we're all professionals, right? And where everybody's like, I guess we can pick a good location. So we went up to where's it called? Calafia, up in Central Coast. I rented a 10-bedroom mansion for like 12 women. We went on like a 3-day retreat, and wow, did we celebrate what we are all about and where we're at. And it's like, it's amazing to have these set of women that have nothing to do with my job, but understand the struggle of being a Chicana mujer in an institution of power that is mostly all men. And Ruby, I heard you say that the other day, like it's difficult. Even though I'm in education, I'm a principal. I mean, we've gone together in principal meetings, and literally there's 3/4 more men principals than females, and it's depressing. So, and getting together to celebrate those moments of feelings and the processing of like, I can't believe I'm where I'm at, and I can't believe I actually can pay a 10-bedroom house when I wasn't even able to. I slept in the closet of my mom's bedroom, like growing up, in a 2-bedroom 1-bath with 6 people. It was like, it blows me away that I can do that, like when I can barely have carne asada to having a Morton Steakhouse, right? So it's something that I celebrate. Like sometimes like Luis, like you said, like I sometimes feel guilty, like when you said, like sometimes you're sick and you can't, you're like, should I not go to work? Because my dad always worked every day. Like for me, it's like, should I go to Morton Steakhouse? Because I can barely buy the carne asada for $4.99, So like celebrating, and I have to tell myself it's okay, because I feel there's so much of that internal guilt that I carry, that I need to let go. And I need to understand that I deserve some of that. I deserve that because I worked really, really hard to get where I'm at. And I don't flaunt it, but I want people to know, like you guys, that you are in adversities, that you're in college, that it's gonna get 10 times better, and at times I still fall at being a principal. I still need to get myself up. I still get oppressed, and I still need to say, no, I don't care what you think of me. I'm gonna make it, and I'm the best I can be. So I celebrate with my coworkers. I've been at the university, celebrate with my university friends, with my elementary friends, with my high school friends, my middle school friends. And I just need to learn that it's okay that I celebrate them, but the hardest part for me is that I have to learn that it's okay that they can celebrate me, because it's really hard for me to accept that. But I'm getting a little better, and I just have to stay quiet. Ser más el callado que el hablador, right? So I have to just really just embrace it and take it in. But it's been, I guess, the biggest challenge for me, because I'm always a giver, and I forget that it's okay for me to get things in return.
Absolutely. And Berta, you stole my thunder a little bit, because my next piece was, what do you want to share to our scholars and our guests with us this evening, right? Because I think it becomes tremendously important for those of us who have come and are on another side of our career, right? Where we can remember seeing ourselves as college students attending these events in undergrad and at different points in our life. But you've done a beautiful job at reminding folks it's okay to you will feel that guilt and that tinge. But Luis, what do you want to, as we wrap up and we move into a Q&A, what would you like to share with our comunidad who joined us this evening?
I'd say same thing I like to tell basically every crowd or group of people that I talk to. Live your life with courage, curiosity, tenacity, and a healthy dose of altruism. If you do that throughout your life, and it's something that I've kind of come to learn on my own. I definitely didn't have the courage growing up. I lack that often, and that's something very easy to lack. It's sometimes we can be afraid to ask questions when we should, to speak up when we should, and that's one of the most important things. And then stay curious, keep learning, learn about as much as you can as possible. Be tenacious, because you got to persevere through things. You'll never learn anything right away, and you'll fall. You'll need to get back up. And at the end of the day, if you're just a little bit altruistic, don't be too altruistic, because then people take advantage of you. But be a little altruistic and lend a helping hand, and people will notice. And by far, I think that's what's helped me a lot throughout my career as well. Is I'm always willing to just extend a helping hand to a different group, even though if I have a little bit of extra time, I'll try and help you out, and we'll try and get through something together. And I've always been able to find new job positions, new opportunities, and just kind of climb my way up the ladder by just being a helpful person and making sure to live by that kind of credos.
That's our awesome words. I had to write those down because I think there's a lot of power in words, right? And in adjectives to describe ourselves. And I'll do a final push before I launch into the Q&A, but this is an opportunity for you to share with us what one title, achievement, professional accomplishment would you say, wow, I did this? Brush your shoulder off, right? Like, yep, I did it. What would that be for you, Luis?
That would be, I've worked on 2 missions for 2 rovers on Mars. On one of them, I specifically had a hand in completely putting together the entire thing and testing it from top to bottom. So, and that's just the latest one that we just launched. And so,
Perseverance.
It's Perseverance is the name of this one. But I worked on Curiosity also, the previous one that landed in 2012. And so, yeah, those are the 2 things that. And it was kind of weird, because I did it when I had landed Curiosity. I was fairly young, and I was just like, it's kind of weird doing something like that so young, it just it feels strange. And it's like, okay, now what am I gonna do? And so, you know, kind of figuring out how do you top that every time. And so, you know, just trying to think of different ways to do it.
Awesome. Gracias. And Berta, what would you be the one, check me out, look what I did. In the
Wow.
most bragging, sinvergüenza way, right? Because we don't do that for ourselves.
Yeah, we did it, but congratulations, Luis. I don't know if I can top that, man. You're amazing. Wow. For me, it's just being a little measly little principal.
But all the effect I'm sure you've had on countless lives.
Yeah, I mean, just itself. I just couldn't believe the fact that after a year and 4 months of being an assistant principal, I was literally asked to be a principal, and and I'm like, I can do it, and I really honestly doubted myself so much because they like, you know, you're gonna be the principal at that school. I'm like, no, I don't have enough experience, and so I can literally say that I said my biggest fear in accepting it and doing it is that I was gonna fail the community. Like that was my huge fear. Like I can't do it. I've only been an assistant principal for a year and 4 months, but I've been in education for 23 years, right? So it was like definitely when I after the 6 month mark and all the relationships I built, and I went from a school that had an average of 578 suspensions a year to 120 suspensions a year, and the kids were just connected with me, the parents would just connect with me. I can say con mucho honor, you know, and mucho humildad, a lot of humbleness, is that like the love and the heart that I give to those kids is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can attest to that as I see you bake for your teachers and your staff. Berta is, you know, I have a personal connection to her, and she is a mad, crazy, amazing baker. And so I know she pours her love and her heart into sharing love in that way. So thank you so much, both Luis and Berta, for your chats. I want to open up to the members of the audience who may have any questions or curiosities for either Berta or Luis. You can either use the raise your hands feature on Zoom by clicking on the participants button, or you can just raise your hand on the screen and we'll go from there.
I don't know how to raise my, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Anastasia.
Okay, I don't have my camera right now, but I wanted to just ask a quick question. Luis and Bertha, thank you so much for sharing your experiences. It's being somewhere between science and technology and education. I relate to both of you very much, so thank you for taking the time today. My question was actually specifically for Luis, because I know sometimes when students hear about an organization as prestigious as JPL, they wonder about what was your journey like? What was the application process like? Do they look at a name like Luis Dominguez and look the other way, or was it a very welcoming community? Can you give any insight there?
Yeah, it was actually fairly welcoming. I mean, when I was applying, I started applying for internships in my third year of college, and I went. It was actually at a Cal Poly Pomona Career Fair day that JPL was there recruiting, and I wanted to get an internship, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna resume bomb all these all these companies, and I just kind of went around and gave my resume to every company that I could find. I really wanted to work for Northrop or like Boeing because I wanted to build airplanes. But JPL actually was the first company to call me, and they asked me if I wanted to do a phone interview. And after the phone interview, they asked me if I could come in a week for an in-person interview. and I met with actually the person who ended up being my boss again this for 2020. Dave Gruel, the person who actually hired me, I ended up kind of just working for him again this go around, and it was kind of cool reminiscing with him. And I think what ended up getting me the job was, I mean, I had a great GPA. I think I did well in the interview process, but then at the end of it, I just left them with if you guys hire me, I will mop the floor, dust the sheds, do whatever you guys want me to do. Just give me an opportunity to work here, and you won't regret it.
I think that's definitely the mentality. Just get the door. Thank you so much for sharing. I know the insight for the internships. It's a great pathway to take because they give you that experience before you even hit the floor. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any others have any questions that either Luis or Berta can address before I hand it back over? All right, so seeing as there are none, again, muchísimas gracias, Luis y Berta. Thank you for a lovely conversation and sharing your insights, your achievements, your accomplishments, and a bit of where your path has taken you. And Luis, I'm sure that you'll be bringing a man to Mars down the line. So you've got 2 rovers under your belt, or maybe it's on to the next galaxy a little bit beyond. So thank you again. And Berta, thank you as a fellow educator and principal. I too echo that moment of, oh wait, I'm a principal. Who hired me again? And why do they hire me? But the cariño and the love and affection you have for your comunidad is really what makes the difference and what contributes so much to your success. So felicidades to both of you. And on that note, I'll turn it back to Ruby.
Great. Thank you so much, Carlos, Luis, and Berta, for sharing your stories. We really appreciate it. You guys have some really, really amazing stories to share and some amazing accomplishments that you have, you've attained. And I get it. In my industry, architecture, construction, being a Latina and a female at that is not the norm. So walking into boardrooms or meetings and having it all men is really my passion to continue doing what I'm doing, because I want to see more Latinos at the table having that conversation. So thank you for sharing your stories with us. We're super excited and super proud to see our alumni doing so great out there.
Ruby, there's one more question that Wendy asked in the chat.
Okay, I see it. We're gonna go one more question. Wendy, Berta and Luis, thanks for sharing your story, so important. What tips can you share about managing work and self-care? Thank you, Wendy, for asking that question, because that is so important, especially right now in COVID.
I am the worst at that. I do. So I took on running recently as a kind of self-care thing, but I tend to be a workaholic, and I don't think COVID's helping because my workstation is right here, and and it never leaves home, and so I'm always tempted to just come in, take a look, and just start working on stuff. So yeah, it's important to set cutoff points where I'm gonna stop working at this point and just disconnect. You got to learn how to disconnect from the phone as well. I feel like I'm getting sensory overload because because you're not meeting with folks, everything's coming in through just kind of, Snapchat or Instagram, or there's just so many feeds of communication that are constantly trying to get your attention. It's really difficult to kind of just concentrate as well. It's one of the other things that COVID time has really taught me. But I take on some exercise. I do running. Before COVID, I'd played a lot of soccer, but so still waiting for that to come back around.
For me, I think it's going on walks, cooking, baking, sewing. Right now, that's COVID, but before, you know, it goes back to that. I got to work on myself kind of self-care. Like one time I actually got a year, what's it called? I don't know. I bought a whole year of massages at Burke Williams. And I literally, for the first 3 times that I went, I felt so guilty that I was spending money to go get a massage for myself. But it was like, it was like, okay, stop. You can do this. It's once a month. You already paid for it. You got to go. And wow, did I love it. Like after the 4th time, I said, okay, let them come. But then after the year, the guilt came in and I stopped the membership. So it's that guilt. It's like, I can't spend money on this because how dare I spend money on myself, right? And it's like, I too, Luis, I am a total workaholic. I stay at the office till like 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and it's nonstop. So I got to tell myself, okay, it's 5 o'clock. It's time for your walk. Go walk your 3.5 miles today. So yeah, it's hard, but I do it, and I have to really, this is really sad that I have to do this, but I have to really schedule it to make it happen. But I got to get to that point where I shouldn't be scheduling my self-care. It should be something that it's just like ingrained, and that's something that I'm doing, right? So yeah, I love caring for my teachers, but at the same time, is that really caring for me? So that's something that I need to really think about, because I love cooking and baking, and I give them everything. I don't eat it. They have it, but it's like, and I love making them, and I like the concept of making it, and it really soothes me to like bake and to do all that. But yeah, I got to still work on it, and I need to stop being a workaholic. I don't know how hard it's going to be really hard to stop doing that.
You know, you both bring up actually really good points. Unfortunately, I am a workaholic myself, and I volunteer for I'm a yes.
Exactly.
I'm a yes. Nobody else is going to do it. I have to do it. I'm going to do it. You know, I that is a problem of mine. My mom used to tell me, once you start having kids, I hope you slow down. And I think it's only gotten worse with every single child, and I have 3 now. So it's really bad. But you know, one thing that I wanted to speak to, and I don't think we speak to this enough, or at least define it enough, is the difference between a job and a career. And you know, the motto, you work to live, but really you should be, you shouldn't be working to live. Am I saying that right? Oh my God. So it's like 6 o'clock hits and my brain just like goes. You work to live, but you should, okay. You get what I'm saying, right? You should, like your job, it shouldn't be just a job. Whatever you're trying to do or pursue in life, it's a career. So everything that you do to a certain extent, other than maybe self-care, should be helping to shape that, right? So you get involved, you go out, you get involved in different organizations. I'm a huge networker. I believe that it really helps people get into different spaces and really puts you out there. You know, you spoke to Luis getting involved and being on the board for SHIP in Los Angeles. That's a great thing. I mean, and especially when you have been able to achieve so much, it's so important that we put ourselves out there so that our comunidad can see that that somebody that looks like them is doing big things as well. And I think we don't do that enough. And so, you know, I kind of put it in the comments. It's so important that, you know, that we get involved, we get on boards, we get on commissions, we're at the table to have the conversation. It is so important, because our community gets it left out because nobody's stepping up. That's the problem sometimes. And it's maybe misinformation, miseducation, but we need to really help our gente as much as we can. So, you know, I wanted to maybe just ask both of you and actually everybody else that's part of this conversation, like, what are your thoughts on getting engaged in professional organizations or even at work? You know, I'm on the board here with the Latino Professional Alumni, but I am also on the board at Edison for our Latino Employee Resource Group, right? Because I want to help to be able to support that community also. So what are your thoughts on getting engaged in different organizations or committees or, you know, whatever it may be to help steer people to achieve greater to a certain extent?
Yeah, that's, I mean, I'd say partially that's been part of the reason why I've stayed at JPL. I think it just gives me, just because of the institution, it affords me such a standing wherever I go talk, right? If I go talk to kids and I tell them, oh, I work for NASA, I do this, it's like immediately, oh, okay, I know what that is. Okay, I get it. If I were to go to work for some, because I've had job opportunities where I could go work for Apple, I could go work for like Google and them, probably make quite a bit more money, but I felt that I wouldn't be as useful to my community in those positions. Yes, I'd make more money. Yes, I'd have more lana, but would I be as helpful to my community and as useful to my community as I currently am? You know, by providing services here to kids locally in the scientist community. Honestly, when I talk to kids and I tell them what I do and I see their faces light up, like that is the best thing for me. I think, you know, if I hadn't been an engineer, I probably would have been a teacher, because I really just enjoy, you know, showing kids what they're capable of and what they can do if they just apply themselves to something.
You want to speak to that? Well, I saw you unmuted because I know you have something to say about that.
Sorry, who? Berta, go
Carlos. Oh, well, both of you. I wanted to also get his thoughts.
Carlos or me?
No, go ahead, Berta.
Well, I think it's super important. I mean, policy is it in education. And if you're not in those committees to make those policies, the policy is not going to go through. Especially now that I know, okay, so this is going to be really hard for me to say, but there is Chicanos that are involved for the community and there's Hispanics that are involved in the community. And so I feel that like sometimes there's those people that are the Latinos that are there because they're just picking up check. And there's the people that are in education that are doing it because they want policies to be made in benefit of the kids. So being part of like committees, like for example, in Santana, I've been trying to advocate to bring in ethnic studies. And so I became part of the ethnic studies committee to bring in ethnic studies to our kids. There's something wrong in my brain when you have a district with over 90% are Latinos and yet you do not teach them about themselves, right? So to me, it's super important that we educate our kids with the right curriculum. And curriculum that they can connect, the curriculum that it's gonna make them succeed because they're gonna learn about people like them that are successful, like Luis, like Ruby, like Cynthia, like Carlos, all of us that made it and we struggled, but we made it, right? And so if we're not in those committees, if we don't get involved and we don't speak out and we don't talk for our kids, all those programs are really gonna be left on the side burner and nobody's gonna really put them in place, you know, and they need the votes of people like myself that believe in the comunidad and the correct curriculum education that they deserve.
Yeah, I echo that, Berta. Ruby, to get to your question, absolutely. The service component of our professional lives and careers extends in ways that we oftentimes may feel unsurmountable and may feel like, oh man, another piece, right? Like, I'll be very honest, I was approached a couple of years back to serve on the board of the Latino Professional Alumni Chapter, and I was like, I can't commit to that, right? But I have found different ways of committing to smaller pieces, right? And so I think that becomes another element, right, where service and connecting is important, and it can look very differently. It doesn't mean always serving on a board as an officer, but it can be chiming in, participating in an event, or in some different way, shape, or form. And I think that in and of itself allows for that opportunity for others, for us to gain visibility in service of our comunidades and of others, right? Ruby and Cynthia, you all will remember Cesar Bravo from back when, from our days in undergrad, and his big thing was always like, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And I'll push that one a little bit forward and be like, it's who knows you, right? It's who knows you, who can pick up the phone and call. And you know, Ruby fortunately knew me and was like, hey, what are you doing on Tuesday night? Would you be able to do X, Y, or Z? And I'm like, actually, I'd love to help, right? And it's really a matter of finding small moments that make that connection. And I will admit for myself, right, like that networking and connection piece, each and every single one of my jobs from the time I started college, my first job straight out of high school, I got because I knew somebody and someone else knew me or referred me to. And every single step of the way, it's been through a connection, right? Like I've been really blessed and fortunate that I haven't had any blind organization interviews. It's always been through a connection of somebody else that has led the series of events, right? Even my opportunity to go back and teach at Cal Poly. The department chair was my professor back in 2003. He found me on Facebook, hit me up, and now I'm an adjunct lecturer at the university. So it's really about those moments of creating connections and maintaining those relationships that I think help us build that visibility and that social and cultural capital that are imperative to the long-term success of our comunidad.
Thank you so much, Carlos and Luis and Berta, for your insight on that. Yeah, I definitely have to say for myself, you know, now in the role that I am, I wouldn't have gotten there if I did not have the connections I made. I've been very blessed that whenever, you know, not to go on a rant, but whenever I put out there that I'm ready to make a change, it's always kind of landed on my lap. Is there anybody else that wants to share, or maybe we can have some dialogue amongst those who are on and joining us now? And we've had some really great comments here. Carla Amaya says she loves giving advice to kids. I used to help my mom at the same school I went to as a kid. So she goes, Noel finally got my quote. That was a little bit tweaked. When you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And boy, is that true. I exhaust myself, unfortunately, doing what I love. And, you know, I live it day in and day out, so definitely. So is there any other questions, any other comments? Sorry. Okay. They can only be out. So, all right. If there's nothing else, I guess it's time to wrap it up at this point. There's a couple of things that I do want to share with you all. We have a few events coming up, but thank you again, Carlos, Berta, Luis. We appreciate your time and for joining us this evening. We couldn't have had such an amazing discussion without your guys' presence, so thank you. Thank you also to our alumni staff and team, Andrea, Noel, and Ana, for their help and support with this event. You know, again, they make it seem seamless. Thank you guys for all of your hard work. We really appreciate you. So Noel, can we go back to the PowerPoint presentation, and we'll go through the last slides. All right, let's jump to the next one. Here we go. Okay, so since it is our Latino Heritage Month, oh, go back to that one. And I'm glad to see that Wendy has joined us this evening. There are a number of events that we will be participating in, and at the Chavez Center, virtually, of course. So you can find it on social media, on our social media, on the Cesar Chavez Center social media. But here you can see the ones that we will be offering. The next one is going to be on Thursday. That's on I Am Generation Resilience Workshop. And then next week we will have something on the evolution of the term Hispanic, Latinx identity workshop. I know that's a huge topic for many of us. Especially some of us that are older, you know, there's all these new terms coming at us that we're trying to keep up with. For those in corporate world, it's very different than from being on the educator side. So I'm looking forward to that one and hope you guys can join us for that. Next slide, please. And then, you know, as we presented and honored our recipients of our Hilda Solis Scholarship this evening, you know, there's money that goes to support that. And so we will be doing some crowdfunding in October. We'll be sending out more details. I know a lot of us have been hard hit with COVID and, you know, just any financial burdens that may be happening at this time. But if you have any extra change, you know, please, anything you can help to donate. It really, really helps these students, as you've heard from their stories. You know, it helps to keep them in school and helps to keep them focused. Next slide. And our next Taco Tuesday in October is going to be focused on voting in California. There is so much going on right now, especially because of COVID, and you know, making sure you have your mail-in ballots if you're going to do that, and how do you do it if you want to do it in person. So many questions. And we want to make sure that you're educated and you have the right resources and information to make sure that you cast your vote. So we will be having that in October. It is so important. I can't express it enough that we make sure that we get out and vote, gente. Please talk to your community members, talk to your family, take them with you. I mean, you can even mail in their ballots. I mean, don't do the ballot for them, but help them mail it in, please. It's so important that we get our vote out there. Oh, today is National Voter Registration Day, so it's the perfect time to have the conversation with your family. Also, I'm going to ask my panelists if you wouldn't mind dropping your email in the comment section, so if anybody has a question, they can contact you. I'd appreciate it. And Victor has dropped in a link, if you are not registered to vote, a link to get you to register to vote. Next slide, please. And as you see, it takes a village to put on events like this, and you know, we're proud to do so. We've been able to bring the Latino Alumni Chapter back from the grave today, and we are so happy to be here. We're so happy to serve you and just be engaged with our Latino alumni and the students and supporting the community. We will be having a call for board applications coming out soon. We're looking for talented and committed folks who are looking to also serve their community as well. So be on the lookout on that if you're interested in donating some of your time and energy to this. Next slide, please. And that's it. So thank you all again for joining us. Make sure to follow us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Find us, we're there. We really appreciate and enjoy having you all here. It's been a really great workshop and panel discussion. Again, thank you to our panelists. Congratulations again to our recipients. And we look forward to connecting with you on our future events. So thank you and have a wonderful evening. Have a good night. Thank you.